You'd have to be scanned by your prospective employer, and that way, if if it came up that you weren't legal, they would catch you by the scan. How does that? I mean, it's not really GPS with the government following you. How does the scan of your fingerprint bother you?
Well, someday it may do this, but why should you have to do this? And they said, well, the equipment to scan your hand or your card is going to cost about $800. And they say, well, what about somebody who might only have 1 or 2 employees and they don't want to buy the equipment? Or you can go to a government office to do this. Can you imagine if the post office takes this up and you stand in line to take your potential employee over and try to get them scanned? I mean, the whole notion of us carrying our papers and everything that we do, every job we get, it will be a national identifying card. One thing that Graham, I think, argued, well, we already have a Social Security card.
Right.
Well, I have a Social Security card that says not to be used for identification purposes. That's what the original Social Security card said.
Well, but what about a driver's license? Virtually all of us have one of those.
Yeah, but I don't have to have a driver's license to get a job. You know, I didn't have to have it to come to Congress. I didn't have to show that.
Well, what about Congressman? You know, the people who are fired up about this, yes, they recognize it would result in somewhat of a loss of civil liberties, but they're very concerned about illegal immigration. And you say there are other ways of controlling it, but we're not doing it.
Well, there's a failure of enforcing our laws, and one of the problems that we have is that we have a failed economic system that makes immigrants a threat to individuals because of our weak economy. So if we had a decent economy, we'd probably be begging for people to come in and work, because there would be, and quite frankly, a couple of years ago, I had as many people come to my office looking for immigrants to come in to work as I did people screaming and hollering because we had too many.
What do you think?
We're short.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I would want to get your thoughts on this before I let you go. What do you think the government might do to us if we all had a national ID card?
Well, they would monitor everything that we do.
They already do.
Surveillance, the lack of privacy, it's always for good purposes. Everything is for good, and they're going to get rid of illegal immigration. They're going to find the criminals, but they're also going to monitor every single person, everything they do. It's sort of this
Homeland Security's right out in the streets in Tennessee.
Every place on every street corner, because we'll catch the bad guy.
And this is, you're a conspiracy theorist if you said that in 2009. Happening right now, ladies and gentlemen.
You either believe in freedom or you don't. If you think you need supervision and surveillance constantly by your government, and right now, the degree of confidence and trust in our government is very, very low. To turn this additional tool over to the government, to me, should outrage the American people, and so far, the people I hear from are outraged.
What do you think the government might do to us if we all had a national ID card?
Well, they would monitor everything that we do.
They already do.
Surveillance, the lack of privacy, it's always for good purposes. Everything is for good, and they're going to get rid of illegal immigration. They're going to find the criminals, but they're also going to monitor every single person, everything they do. It's sort of this
Homeland Security's right out in the streets in Tennessee.
Every place on every street corner, because we'll catch the bad guy.
And this is, you're a conspiracy theorist if you said that in 2009. Happening right now, ladies and gentlemen.
You either believe in freedom or you don't. If you think you need supervision and surveillance constantly by your government, and right now, the degree of confidence and trust in our government is very, very low. To turn this additional tool over to the government, to me, should outrage the American people, and so far, the people I hear from are outraged.
So interesting to listen to your thoughts on that. The meeting happens tomorrow at the White House. The White House has taken no position on it thus far, but Graham's a Republican, Schumer's a Democrat. We'll see whether they get it through this time. Congressman Ron Paul, thank you so much for your thoughts on it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Paul. Dr. Paul. He should be president, actually.
He blew it. No, he didn't blow it. The Republican Party blew it.
Yeah,
They did not. He was the only person in the Republican Party that could have beat Barack Obama in 2008.
Yeah, well, again, he is the, but you see, that's the problem. He is the anti-establishment, Jacques. Anyway, everybody, this is Jacques Williams from the Torrington Arts and Culture Committee, and head of the singer-songwriter network in Torrington, Connecticut. And I welcome you, Jacques. Thank you for coming by.
Howee!
But, you know, a lot of crazy things, you know, with like this whole thing. You know, we're talking about this, you're right, the establishment, obviously, Ron Paul is a threat to them because he is basing his it's just a very simple thing. Just, let's just have some freedom. And freedom is not a good thing when you're trying to collectivize and control.
There's a couple ways you can look at that. Do Chinese people have freedom?
No.
Do the Russian people have freedom?
No. They think they have what they see. I mean, but it hasn't come to the point yet in America where there are nets put out of factories so that when you're making the Apple iPods, that the workers that are tortured to like work 16-hour days until they bleed, don't jump out of windows to commit suicide. That's on record. So no, I mean this is the problem. Collectivism, communism. Yeah, there's an oligarchy that is controlled, and they enjoy the fruits of everything. And even in the communist, you got the communists look like they're trying to make them look like us. They're trying to make them look, oh look, they eat McDonald's now, and they're upwardly mobile. Meanwhile, they're deindustrializing America while they're upwardly mobiling China. It's all a fraud. And we're going to end up being like China was, more 100 years ago, and that's truth.
You think we're heading that?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That's where they're going to go with this, and a combination of communism and fascism, classic, like Soviet style.
And socialism. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Well, actually, they're really the same thing, man. When you get like communism and socialism, the only difference between socialism and fascism is that there's more of a relationship between the corporations and the government than the people and the government. That's the only difference.
A lot of people don't even, the words are thrown around so much that people become numb to them.
Well, they don't know anything.
They don't understand what those terms truly mean.
They're sheep. I mean, look, this is what it is. They turn on the television and they listen to what the TV says, and they just believe, oh, that's what it is. And, Osama bin Laden was taken out, by these SEALs, and then when they were leaving, the helicopter blew up, and, these SEALs died, and then the remaining SEALs went on another mission, and then they blew up and died, and, I mean, whatever they tell you, there's, it's just, there are weapons of mass destruction, and we have to start this war, and, and it goes on and on and on and on.
The only thing about that argument, though, was there was strong, pervasive evidence against there being WMDs. Just as much, I would say even more so than there was for the cheers to go to war for the WMDs. I feel that ultimately it's going to come to a test of our Constitution, and if our Constitution was written, and it's very clear, it's not a fascist Constitution, it's not a communist Constitution. If anything, it would tend to be more of a socialist Constitution in terms of the individual having total autonomy over the affairs of the government. You can live free of your government to some degree in the United States under the Constitution of the United States because of the individual rights.
Well, not the way that it is now. See, listen, the thing that's bad is all of this social change was engineered by the Rockefellers and all of these controllers to do exactly this, to turn it into the kind of a system where even if you work hard and you have what you call a decent job or whatever, you're not making enough. So you're always going to be dependent upon the state. So more and more you'll become dependent, and then you will make.
But they're trying to starve the beast, though. You can't have it both ways. You can't.
Well, no, you can, because they're going to destroy the entire monetary system.
Over the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah, they're going to try. They're going to try.
We just had.
But listen, the average guy doesn't even know what the Fifth Amendment is. Maybe they know the other ones,
I'm
but
just saying, we just fought two wars. Mm-hmm. For the Constitution of the United States and to defend this country. Well, in principle.
We fought.
In principle.
Oh my God.
It's for
ExxonMobil and Halliburton.
We know that, but I'm saying that's not what
I started the entire thing. The fact that it's, I went over the whole thing earlier before you were on. You came on. about that whole fact that it's like the patriots that go to war for what they believe to be freedom and liberty and fighting for this, but then they get there and they wake up because they realize it's not, and it's tyranny, and they come back and they're even screaming out there like people that are against the war, soldiers that are against the war. But it's not about, I mean, like, again, we could talk about the war and everything. I wanted to address the North American Union, as they were talking about. This is a big thing. They're meeting Obama's meeting in Hawaii, of all places, on Monday, Sunday and Monday, to discuss basically merging Canada, the United States.
You mean another NAFTA agreement?
It's beyond NAFTA. It's actually it would be a North American Union where there would be like a borderless. It would be borderless between.
Isn't that what NAFTA was?
NAFTA was for the trade. It was trade. It was just to make trade easier. And then they had the highway but it's moving forward. They're going to destroy the sovereignty of this country through the United Nations. That was the whole plan all along. Rockefeller's plan for the Council of Foreign Relations. His plan was to consolidate after the war, consolidate all the powers. They created the European Union after Bretton Woods and the Bilderbergs right there. They created the European Union. Now they created basically the Asian Union, and they're almost finished with the African Union now. So now they got Libya all wrapped up, and we're next, and it's coming. And I'm telling you, we have to rise up and say this is not going to happen. We're not going to allow this to happen. So yeah, they're doing it in the name of saying it's going to help trade and help all this other stuff, but it's really, I have a lot of info on that.
I don't think Obama is going to endorse that. I really don't.
He doesn't. He's a puppet. He does what they tell him. He does what they tell him. Look, this is what's going on. This is the whole. I have my whole second segment on the actual. This is numerology. I was on the whole thing is that President Barack Obama is going to be hosting Prime Minister Harper and Mexican President Philip Calderon for the North American Leaders Summit in Honolulu on November 13th. The White House announced Friday the trilateral summit will come to the heels of a larger meeting of leaders from the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation nations. That's what I was just telling you, the Asian Union. It's the first time since 2009 that Obama, Harper, and Calderon will hold the North American Leaders Summit. The Three Amigos meeting has been an annual tradition started in 2005 with Bush. Bush started this. See, this isn't... It's not the guys. He's got nothing to do with it. He's just moving it along. The presidents get elected. They put these laws into place that they want to further the agenda down the line. The next president moves it forward. All Obama's doing is just moving forward what Bush did. And technically, the meeting comes as Canadians await the outcome of negotiations between Ottawa and Washington on a perimeter security pact. So they're talking about, look, if there's civil unrest, the Canadians are going to help the Americans, and the Americans are going to help the Canadians. In other words, so we don't have to, this is fucked up. So we don't have to police our own people. The Canadians are going to police the Americans, and the Americans are going to police the Canadians, and the Mexicans are going to police, it's the same thing. And it's insane.
Totally.
But that's what they're doing.
Well,
why do you think I do this radio show?
I understand what no.
That's the whole reason, because this is the lie. This is what they're saying. It's peace, prosperity, and easier borders, easier operation, more taxation, more revenue, better economy, flow of business,
I just don't think everyone has bought into that yet, Howard.
No, they've been stole. It's a fraud. It's just
but wait a minute, hold on.
It's just like the weapons of mass destruction fraud. There was no weapons of that. They just wanted to get rid of Saddam, and they did it. It's like over and over again, dude. They lie and they cheat and they steal and they do it with a smile, and you believe them, and they get a slick political candidate.
And we put them back in office.
Yeah, yeah. After a 2-year hiatus, the leaders of these guys get together, and basically, what it is they've been putting final touches on the proposed Beyond the Border Agreement. All right? A series of unwelcoming distractions have caused the initiative to lose some of its momentum. In September, a U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency draft reported that recommended use of fencing and other barriers on the northern border. So it's all this other bullshit that they're talking about. But the timing of the protectionist measures have also proven to be a stumbling block.